Hello guys, welcome back to Beyond the Realms, and I got Krazy Jay here once again via Skype.
Hello.
How's it going, Krazy?
Hi, hello.
Testing, testing.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Testies, 1, 2, 3? No. But today we are going to be doing the Second Chance series once again, and today we're going to be talking about, what is it, Krazy?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning.
There it is. A DVD with the slip cover.
Yes.
The unrated version. And this is going to be a little bit different of a second chance video. Like usually on this, up to this point, it's been to where it's been a movie where I haven't liked it, and I'm first time around and I'm trying to give it a second chance. Well, this time around, Krazy and I are both fans of this film, which is pretty much almost unheard of. There's not many fans of this film, but Krazy and I have been fans of this film since we saw it. We actually saw this movie opening night in a theater, and we've both really enjoyed it ever since then. So for this second chance, this is our case to you of why we think you should give this film a second chance. Right, Krazy?
Oh, yeah.
So, you got any first thoughts here on this movie?
Going into this, I was admittedly, I was really skeptical because I'm not a fan of, I don't mind the first remake, but I'm not a huge fan of it, honestly.
Yeah.
So going into this, I was like, I wonder how it's going to be. Is it going to be alright? And I could accept that it was a prequel. I could accept all that. I saw the previews and I was excited. Then, seeing it, I was like, wow, I'm convinced this is one of my favorite chainsaws of all time.
Yeah, man, and I agree. I mean, the remake to me was decent at best. Like, I know you and I have talked about this, and I'll mention here, like the first half of the remake I liked, but when it got to like the second half, it just, I don't know, man. Jessica Biel just all of a sudden becoming this superhero type girl, and I don't know, I just didn't care too much for the remake, man. So I was the same way. I remember when we went and seen this, we weren't really thinking much. We were just really, we were just going to be like, yeah, it'd be a good time Friday night. And after it was over, it's like, holy shit, man, that was actually a good movie. And
it way exceeded my expectations.
And I think the thing with this movie is you kind of got to separate it, man. I mean, okay, its existence in and of itself is ridiculous. A prequel to a remake, I mean, that's just ridiculous. But, I mean, if you can judge this movie on its own terms, I think it's fucking badass, man. And the reason why I've always thought this, and I know we've talked about this since that first night, man, is this is the first and still to this day only Chainsaw Massacre movie that is a full-on chainsaw massacre.
Oh, yeah, because, really chainsawing. Because you don't see that a lot of times in the other films. You just didn't.
It's implied a lot, and even then, there's not a lot of chainsaw kills in a lot of the other movies when you look at them. In this one, he is fucking chainsawing the shit out of everybody in this, man. I mean, it's a full-on fucking massacre, and I always love that uncompromising brutality of this film. It's fucking brutal, man.
From beginning to end, it's complete brutality. That's why I loved it too.
And it's, our good friend Andrew Morris that does the Idle Chatter podcast, he recently just gave this a second chance because of me talking about it, and he agreed. He liked it better a second time around. What he said about it, is it's a fucking hot, sweaty, stinky movie, man. And it really is. Like, every frame of this movie, you feel hot. Even if you're in a cold room in the air conditioner, you're going to feel hot watching this movie just because it just, man, it
has a nasty, gritty feeling to it.
It really is, man. And I mean, to me, that's what I expect out of a Chainsaw Massacre movie.
Yeah, it shouldn't be pretty like the remake was. It was all pretty and glossed over.
Yeah.
And even in the end, Jessica Biel, spoilers, escaped unscathed, still so pretty, and it's like, come on now.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And I mean, this movie's glossy too. I mean, it's got, it has the Platinum's Dunes look to it. I mean, I will say that, but still, even then, it just comes off way more grittier and just what you would think out of a Chainsaw Massacre movie, I think, than the remake did.
Oh yeah, for sure. And well, it was shot by the same guy who did the first one too, and the original Daniel Pearl. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's why the continuity of the look.
I mean, the director, Jonathan, how did you say his last name? Crazy.
Linesman.
Liebesman, or whatever you say it, how you say it. I mean, I think he did a good job with this, man. I mean, he went on to do some stuff since then that I have not liked at all. Battle LA, I fucking hated that movie. But I really liked his direction in this, man. I think it just, everything really clicked and worked in this, I really like the brother relationship of Eric and Dean in this.
Oh, that was great, man. And like, you really cared about that relationship.
Yeah. I mean, we're not going to really go into like the whole plot details. I'm sure everybody already knows it. And if you haven't, you really don't need to know it, man. I mean, it's a Chainsaw Massacre movie. It's young people getting sawed up by the fucking, well, in this it's the Hewitt family. I mean, you don't really need to know it, but I mean, bottom line is, I like Eric and Dean's relationship. Eric has already been to the war. He's gone back and he's taken Dean with him, and Dean doesn't want to go. They're driving to go to it, and I just like their relationship, and I believe their relationship. I believe them as being brothers. I mean, they didn't really look alike at all, but I think the way their relationship was played off, it worked for me. I thought.
Yeah, it was very believable, and like, when Dean was getting hurt, like, you felt for him. I mean, getting pummeled. I mean, that was, gosh. And Eric was watching. That scene's tough to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, because Eric was trying to cover for him and saying, he was the one that ripped up his draft card because of course, Arlie Ermey plays Uncle Charlie slash Officer Hewitt, and it's torching him. I mean, I really like those scenes, how that plays out. I think that it just really worked to me, and I like Jordana Brewster as Chrissy way more than Jessica Biel, because she was just more. I don't know, man. I believed her more as somebody who was in this situation than Jessica Biel myself.
Oh, I did too, man. She's very sympathetic too, and a lot more believable in that role. And plus, she really got the crap knocked out of her compared to Jessica Biel, I'd say.
Yeah. And, I mean, just right from her opening scene, when she's trying to hide, when they're coming to get the wreckage of the car and shit, she's trying to hide. I mean, you feel bad for her, and it just, I don't know, everything right there works. I mean, the only thing, okay, when they're cruising down the road and the bikers come up, which includes Lee Turgidson as Holden. I mean, okay, they're just coming out of the blue and telling these people to pull over to rob. I mean, that might be a stretch of that, it's a cheap plot device or whatever, but come on, man. I mean, it's just a slasher film. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't really, I don't know, people's talked bad about that, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know.
Well, stuff had to be set in motion to get that going anyway. Like, what else would you expect?
Yeah, exactly.
They had stuff foreshadowing of that in, like, that diner scene.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, that makes sense for them to come up, and they didn't like them because they were pretty or whatever. I mean, that made sense thematically.
Yeah. And, yeah, I mean, speaking of the brutality of this film, I mean, this is going to get into some spoiler territory here, so if you haven't seen the film, you might want to skip past this part. But, like, again, I'm sure most people watching this has already seen the film. Eric's death in this movie, man, I think is just fucking incredible, man, where Chrissy's hiding under the table. She finds him, she's hiding, she's trying to get him free. Well, about that time, Leatherface is coming down there, so she hides under the table. He comes down there and starts fucking cutting off a piece of Eric's arm. Then he just saws right through the table. The chainsaw goes through the table.
Down.
Yeah, almost gets Chrissy. His blood's spraying all over. That's just brutal, man.
Oh, and then he cuts his face off too.
Yeah, exactly. Cuts his face off, and then Dean, isn't Dean the one that goes off running through like the blankets hanging outside, and he gets his leg chopped off at the knee? Isn't that in this one, or is that?
No, he gets his caught in the bear trap.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm thinking of the first one. I think it's the remake where the leg's chopped off. Okay, yeah, he gets caught in the bear trap, and then he's hanging, and doesn't Leatherface cut him in half? Is that what it is?
No, in the end, he like sticks the chainsaw up in his stomach. But
that's right.
They
Yeah.
say it's Chrissy.
Now Holden's death, Lee Turgidson, man, is one of the most violent deaths in the entire Chainsaw Massacre franchise, where he falls down the chainsaw. Arlie Ermey's like, start that fucker up. You know, he starts it up and cuts right through him and fucking cuts him completely in half, man. It's just so vicious.
Oh man, that scene was crazy.
Yeah. So what do you think of Arlie Ermey in these movies?
He is one of the best parts of both of the movies.
Oh yeah, I totally agree, man. He's just awesome. I love his presence. I mean, you know, a lot of people say, oh, he's just played the same character since Full Metal Jacket. And that may be true, but man, he does it so well, it doesn't matter. He works in this, man. I think he works, and I think Andrew Bryniarski is fucking awesome as Leatherface. I just think he really works too, man. He's awesome. I love the brutality of him. I mean, I've heard some people say they don't like how, you know, he's just like a complete brute throughout the film. Like they prefer, I've heard some people say they prefer, you know, Gunnar Hansen's portrayal more, and I could see that too. I mean, I you know, not the original, you just can't top it. But then again, I like this different type of Leatherface, because if you're going to do the movie, a remake, it should be different, you know. And I kind of like that they just set him out as this brutal fucking character, you know.
Oh yeah, and you had sympathy too, because like he was picked on. You could see like in the beginning how he was picked on and stuff, and by that like plant manager how he was like ridiculed and stuff.
Yeah, when they were trying
to
shut the place down.
Too.
Yeah.
But I loved his brutality and how he really made that part pop.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think, man, you know, anybody watching this video, if you haven't liked this movie, you know, I think we both agree, try to give it another shot now. Now that it's way past, you know, and you're separated from it, it's all the hype's died down. It's, you know, years past it coming out. Go back and try to watch this movie on its own merits. Go and just try to watch this as its own, because really, if you look at the franchise, each movie kind of stands alone. You know what I mean? Like, Part 2, okay, yeah, it's kind of tied in with the original, but it's still pretty much its own. But after that, each movie's basically been a remake anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Part 3 is basically a remake. Part 4 is basically a remake. Then you have the remake. And then this, you know, that's why I didn't have a problem looking at this on its own film, because the franchise is such a clusterfuck to begin with. Whether you like the films or not, you have to admit the franchise is a major clusterfuck.
Oh, it's a mess, man. The whole franchise is.
Yeah. So, all right, Krazy, I guess we'll do scores here, man. What do you give this out of a 10?
I give it an 8.
Give it an 8. I give it a 9, man. I mean, I know, you know, some people's probably thinking, what the fuck, but I just love it, man. I can't get enough of this movie. I'm so happy it's finally getting a Blu-ray release this October. It's never had one. I can't wait for that. Even if all the extras are just ported over from the DVD, I don't give a shit. I'm buying it because I want it on Blu-ray, man. I can't wait to see this dirty, nasty-ass, hot, fucking bloody mess on Blu-ray.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. But I just also can't believe that it was released in theaters like that. That's saying something.
Yeah, it really is, man, because it's a brutal movie, man. I mean, it's very fucking violent and just vile.
And nasty.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the unrated cut, but it's such a small amount of stuff that was added back in. It's pretty much exactly how it was theatrically.
Oh yeah, man, because I remember just seeing it in theaters and my mouth was just agape because, I mean, it was so brutal.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming on the heels of things like Saw, you know, but still, it's a very violent movie.
Even then, compared to that, Saw is like nothing compared. Even Saw 2 and stuff I mean, I think that stands in comparison as way more brutal than that
yeah, I agree, man. So yeah, guys, that is Second Chance review for Texas Chainsaw Massacre beginning.
Watch it again.
Yeah, give it another shot, guys, and you know, just like I said, try to watch it with an open mind. And if you do, let us know what you think about it, you know. And you know, if you have watched it recently and want to tell us your thoughts, you know, comment below. Let us know what you think. And yeah, I hope you guys liked this video, guys. That's pretty much it. Krazy, thanks for joining us, and we will talk. Yeah, we will talk to you all soon. Have a good one, guys. Later.